How are you doing? We're going to do a service on this beast of a Toyota. Now, obviously, like I said, the first thing you want to do is preheat the engine. Obviously let it run till it's warm and then drain out the oil. So that's the first thing we're going to do. The engine, we've already got warmed up, so we're just going to drain the oil and we're going to go from there. So, and obviously, as you can hear, the exhaust is leaking, but we're not going to worry about that yet, because we're just here to do a service. So here's the sump, and obviously as you can see, we've got a little bit of leakage here, but we're only doing a service on this, so if it's your own car, you can address that yourself. We've done a video on actually how to take off a sump and reseal it, so if you want to watch that, you know how to do it. The first thing we need to do is take off this. Alright, first thing we're going to do is drain the oil. So, get oil drainer in. And now, see how quick I am. You can do this without getting covered in oil, if you're quick. Like that, just like that. See no oil. God, I'm brilliant. Aren't I, Johnny? I'm that good. Alright, another good thing to do is when that's draining, get your oil filter. Now, if you just come in this way, you'll see the oil filter just up there. You see it?
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah, got it.
There's the oil filter. So as the oil's draining, I'm going to also remove that as well. Again, we use our trusty oil filter remover with adjustable thing. So as that's draining away, I'll just and in there, take off this. One thing you have to be careful of is the exhaust. It's hot and it does burn. It doesn't take much to burn a big part of your skin. This. There. Now, undo it with the hand. Undo it a few turns, let oil come out. And then just turn it off the rest of the way. Simple as that. A handy trick is, as you're bringing it out, I'll just let the oil come out. As you're bringing it out, the last few turns, just angle your hand up so the oil doesn't come out. Just going to leave it in there to drain. Take the new filter. And what you want to do now is, with anything on any car, before you put anything on, whether it's oil, spark plugs, air filter, no matter what, always check it against the old one. So the first check you can do, quite simple, is to make sure they're the same height. Now don't particularly worry about if they're the same height. If one's a bit longer, that actually doesn't really matter. What the most important thing on the oil filter is the seal's the same and the thread's the same. And the easiest way to do that is put the new one on top and you can see that the threads are actually the same. So that's good. The actual seal, sorry. And you can tell by looking at it. Next thing to do is get a bit of oil on your finger and spread it round the new seal. That just means it's a lot easier to get off the next time for you. Make sure your hands are oil free. You want to put this on by hand and you don't want any oil slipping. So again, just literally screw it on. And what you want to do is get this as tight as you can with your hand. You're not using any machinery on this to tighten it. So you're not using any tools, you're just using your hand. Now, that's as tight as I can get it. And that is good enough. Next thing you want to do is put our oil, some knot on. Again, you want to be careful with these, not to tighten it too hard. It's very easy to over tighten these and then you're in trouble. So just want to give it a nice nip, just like that. Get a rag, wipe the oil around it and do the same with the oil filter, just so then when you come to check it you can see if it's leaking. Because when you put the new oil in you just want to check it. So that's it, that's the oil. Right, also what you want to do is, now we've got the oil out, you want to put the oil in, because you can easily forget about it, that you haven't put it in. I like to keep the cap off, just so you know exactly that you've got no oil in. So take your dipstick out and wipe it. Again, you can check from your car manual and stuff, but I know I think it's going to take about 3.5 litres, so I'm going to put 3.5 litres in. And when you put oil in, don't forget that when you start the car, your oil filter takes some oil as well. So you always have to double check. But I know I can put 3.5 litres in here and I'm going to be safe to do that. Yeah, you want to check out in your manual what oil you need, because there's just too much to mention at the minute. So I'm putting 1040 in this particular engine. So now you want to give that about 30 seconds for it to settle, and then dip it. Before I dip it, I'll just show you this. Now on this one you can see the etched area, and you can see where it says F and L, so low and full. And normally between there and there is normally a litre of oil, normally, depending on, that's normally 1.6 upwards. 1.6 downwards it can be a bit less, and 2 litre upwards can be a little bit more. So there's the 2 gauges. Leave it there for a few seconds, pull it back out. As we can see, we are above the mark. As you can see, we are above the mark, but that's okay because the oil filter has to take some oil. So I reckon we're going to be spot on there. So put the dipstick down, check that on, start the car, don't rev it, don't do anything. You'll see the oil light on. The oil light will go off after a few seconds. That's because the oil filter's got oil in. Leave about another 10-15 seconds to run. Knock it off and then check your oil level. Right, the oil light's gone out. I'm going to leave it about 10 seconds, then I'm going to dip it again. But this is a good time just to check your oil filter and your plug that it's not leaking. I'm going to quickly go underneath and check that. See, on this one we're absolutely fine, so I'm going to now turn it off. Give it another 10-20 seconds just to settle. Take out the dipstick, give it a wipe, let it settle, play some lift music while you're waiting. Dip it again. Now, can you see that? We're just over the mark, but I mean not by much. That's absolutely spot on. So there we go. 3.5 litres. Simple. No, this is not a frisbee. This is the air filter for this car. Weird looking thing, but nice and easy to change. It's right on top there, simple. Take out the middle screw or the wing nut. A few clips, release the clips. And one more. This then comes off, and as you can see, that hasn't been changed in a while. Now we're going to put the new one back in, obviously that one, and then now you can throw this one to the dogs. Now we'll put the new one in. Now, just so you know, there is a slight cut in it. Well, not cut, but you can see it's not completely round there. There's a little thing, and that just lines up with the thing there. So you just literally put it on until it sits perfect there. That's it. Put it down, put the wing nut on first, just to make sure it doesn't move. Like that, and then the clips. That's it. Now, the plugs next. Now we're doing the plugs. I personally like to use a 3/8 ratchet, and the reason why I do is the 1/2" ratchet obviously is a lot bigger and it gives you a bit more power, and you can just over tighten them. So use a 3/8 drive and it's fine. Use a 3/8 ratchet, the long extension, and a 16mm spark plug spanner. Now the only difference, really between a spark plug socket and an ordinary socket is this has got a little bit of rubber in, and it actually holds the spark plug in. That's the only real difference. You can use a normal 16mm long reach, but the problem is the plug will keep falling out and it's pretty annoying. That's the only difference. Again, what you can do is you can mark these 1, 2, 3, 4, but to be honest, for example, you can't really put that in the wrong place. So what I like to do is when I take it out, I put it there so we know it's number 4. If I can take them out. 3, 2, 1. Now I've left them in that position, so you can't really go wrong. Now, so you want to hope that these come out quite easily. They should do just like that. Like I said, same with everything, you want to just make sure, see that's what the little rubber bit allows you to do, is lift it up. Now what you want to make sure is, just make sure they're right. This is a Dempson plug, you can see that, and this is an NGK, the new one. Now it doesn't matter, as long as they're both the same height, which hopefully on camera you can see that. They are both, this one's very hot so I'm struggling to hold it. They're both the same height. They all look the same, they're the same length and absolutely everything, so that's good. If one of them was like that, obviously they're no good. If it had a bigger bolt on the end of it, a 22mm or something like that, obviously it's no good either. So you just want to make sure everything's the same, and it is. So now we know we can put that back in and we're not going to have a problem. What I like to do is take them all out first. I just find it a little bit easier. Now these aren't tight in, which is good. And they're a nice kind of browny, biscuity colour to them. And they smell okay too, so that's good. But as you can see from the bottom here, all the brown, black, so you can see that they do need changing. I personally change everything in the service. There's no point just changing your oil and your filter. You might as well just do everything. It's better for your car, your engine will last longer. Now some plugs, like platinum plugs, you don't need to change them every service, but they're 3 or 4 times more expensive than these. So all the plugs look okay. You can see that the electro gap has, now if I just zoom into that one, you see the electro gap, how it's close here. Now, look at this one. That one's got a hell of a lot bigger gap. and you'll see, hopefully, if I can get these both in line. Now you'll see the gap. Start again. Now you can see the gap difference. So the spark has to travel longer through this one. So the new plugs are definitely needed. Now just open all your plugs. Another good thing to do, you shouldn't really have to do it, but I always check, is just make sure all your plugs are exactly right, that they haven't maybe been put in the wrong box or anything like that. So make sure they're all the same and they're all the same numbers. And I can see they're all the same. So then what I do is, this is the most important thing, always put these on by hand. Never screw these down with the ratchets. Put them on by hand. Put it down there. Screw it on by hand until you can't screw it anymore. Because if you cross thread these, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So you can go a good few turns before. Now I can't go any further. So now that one's okay. Same again. Screw them down. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to drop these down, because if you drop it down, you can make the electric gap smaller and the car's not going to run properly. So don't just allow them to drop down. Put them in that and then they can't drop. And it won't do any damage. Now, and then what I do, I hold the top of the ratchet, not the bottom, because you hold that you can get too much leverage on it. So I just hold the top and give them all a nice little pinch. That's all you need to do. It's a nice little pinch. Again, as you can see, I'm not doing that, which I can tighten a lot harder. I'm just doing that little pinch. Little pinch. Ah, the HC leads back. 1, 2, 3, and I've lost. Oh, there we go. Look. Like that even. Get them right. Put them all down, and then just you can hear a nice little click. Now, ready to start it, and hopefully this shouldn't be missing. So if it starts okay. Now obviously, apart from the exhaust leaking, that engine is ticking over okay. If you had a problem with one of your plugs, it would be missing. But we're not getting that. So, give us like... We're sorted. Now that's the basic service. Now we're just going to check all the levels. We're just going to check all the levels. This is the windscreen wiper washer. It says washer fluid only on it. Add a bit of screen wash. Top it up with water. Simple enough. Now that's that done. Now, the older cars like this have an expansion bottle, which is there, but they also have a radiator cap. Now, as long as your expansion bottle will say full, max, min and all that sort of stuff, which is on that side, you're not going to be able to see it on camera, but as long as it's normally, with these sort of setups, as long as that is halfway full, you're okay. And this is your radiator. Now, beware, don't open these when they're hot, because they are pressurized and it will squirt back in your face. So we're going to open that. We can see that the liquid is green, which is good. We're just going to test that now. I mean, to be fair, we can test in the expansion bottle as well, but I just do it here. So we suck up liquid, need a bit more. Now, let's let the bubbles, as we can see, let the bubbles go down. We've got 5 floating, it's just the bubbles going up. So we're good for minus 34 to minus 37. So we're good there. We know that's fine. We know there's antifreeze, and we can see that that's halfway full, so we don't need to add anything. Like I said, if you need antifreeze, you just put a bit of antifreeze in. If the antifreeze is okay, but you need to top it up, just top it up with water. Simple. Now the last thing we really need to check is the brake reservoir. And again, it's .4 brake fluid. This is the clutch reservoir here. Again, you can just take that off and you can see we've got stuff in there, that's okay. Now, we can wobble that. Now we need a little bit of brake fluid in here, so we'll just top that up. Just use .4. Now one thing you want to be aware is, if you need to put a lot of fluid in this, it's a good idea to check your brakes, because your brake pads could be low and your piston's obviously quite a long way out. That's why you need to put brake fluid. We only need a tiny bit in here, so we don't have to worry about that. Now that'll trickle back in. That'll lift up, see it rising there to maximum. That's sorted. Right, well that's it. That is basically the service on this. Simple as that. Again, I'm going to have to do another video on doing checks and your bushings and stuff, but we're just going to do just a service on this. So it's simple as that. You know, fair enough, this car is a 91, so it's a lot easier to work on. The newer cars, there's just not as not as much space, but you know, simple as. So I hope this helped. Hope this helped. Get it right. And it's easy. And don't forget, get your hands dirty.